Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to this new edition of the morning briefing. So let's get started with a recap of what happened yesterday. In short, the market was really active. Activity in the sense that it continued, in short, to the movements already seen in the week of last weekend and this past week. There had been the first bearish push after that. In short, some more conciliatory statements regarding tariffs from the Trump administration. In short, they initiated a bit of a recovery for the US indices with a nice surge. We have essentially broken that channel that we had pointed out. Let me show it to you again. Let's put it on a wider time frame so it's not just 10 minutes. At least we can frame it from where it starts. Okay, this is a channel, simply a linear regression channel that has accompanied this entire decline. Yesterday, we broke out of this channel, and now, well, we've been working a bit above it. Now, there's probably a test from above of this channel. We'll see if it will re-enter to continue the directionality of the channel, or maybe the test from above of the channel break could lead to a nice bounce. We will also see why there is macro data, whether today or tomorrow. They are expected and will definitely influence the breakout. In short, the trend of the indices is eagerly awaited by operators to frame the situation a little at the macro level. The situation regarding the sector, the employment factor. I posted in the chat this week an analysis made by Bloomberg, which in short predicts a decline. So it could potentially be a shock tomorrow, where the data were to beat the expectations and therefore the consensus of the vast majority, because it seems to me that Bloomberg was the only one to give this very low figure. So we'll see. In short, who will be right. So pay close attention. You know, these are particular days, so we can definitely reduce the size of our trades to feel more at ease from a psychological standpoint. Because as I pointed out, the volatility has increased a lot. Volumes have increased a lot, so the swings are getting wider. And as a result, the stops need to be more appropriate, a bit wider. So keep all this information in mind for your trading. As for that, let's take a look. So in detail, starting with the NASDAQ, as we usually do at the moment, we are below the BC3 levels just opened. So the European markets have just opened. So in short, this first directionality is to break out of this range that we usually point out. And it could definitely give a first bearish push, maybe around the ST2 area with a test of the BC3 level created yesterday. We'll see then. But you know, if it were to intensify also with the increase of significant volume coming in, it could definitely also this morning attacking new VIX levels for today. Thank you for waiting a little bit. The opening and the release of the first data for today. So maximum alert, I repeat, we can see it here from the VLC indicator, even though this is a 10-minute chart, because the volumes were quite good yesterday too, you know, high. They continue to be, so it's above the average, above the average, above the average, above the average, above average. So they give a very high percentile positioning compared to the last 2 to 4 years, which are the averages that I can more or less check. So this is the situation regarding the NASDAQ. Obviously, we also need to understand the situation for a strong recovery. If only a nice rebound could be triggered. So a break of the RD1 area could definitely lead to a recovery of the area. VIX with the end. The first attack on that area we pointed out yesterday, which is this area here between 21 and 2. In this way, I mean, obviously with the extension to 21,000, but just recovering this first area, so the 21,000 area could definitely be, let's say, a good sign in short of recovery, market strength, and the presence of buyers. We'll see. Now let's move on to the AES, a situation that is obviously similar. At the moment, we are working right around the levels of the range dictated by the BC3 levels, in short, excluding this top further down. But surely we can go and consider all of this. I'm putting it there just to let you have it, an idea of where these darn rectangles are. Yes. Here it is. It should be this one. Okay. Let's say that we can go to measure like this, let's say an area of range that we can work on while waiting for the opening. At the moment, this seems to be a little bit, so let's take the BC3 levels, the RD0 levels, which then represent the day's high. So at the moment of the session, not of the day. And we'll see here too. So what needs to be done? I repeat, but also here. In short, we love the channel. We didn't draw it yesterday. Maybe we'll do it today, just to give you an idea. In the end, I set the situation to 10 minutes to be a bit more, in short, to be able to capture the entire movement. Here it is, I trace it. In short, it's automatically traced by the linear regression. Then maybe later, if I can find the time, I'll make a video for a moment also about the older indicators, because this is something that might scare you. It's also useful to use the linear regression anchor, which is definitely very helpful with the double setting. As we did at the beginning, as I suggested to do at the start, maybe later I'll make a video for the many new members in the Discord chat. And so it can definitely be useful for everyone. Then the rest, okay. So given the situation of them too. So I recommend maximum power here too, because I repeat the volatility. Well, you can notice it. In short, we are making very important swings on ES too. So maximum attention. Let's take a look at the other two American indices that we follow. Let's start with Dow Jones. A bit more toned, so we are above this nice area. Let's say at the upper part of this range that was created yesterday, which we can define between RD0 and the low levels. In short, basically at the moment we are in the upper part where we have worked a little, let's say basically with few volumes, because with the exception of for the last hours of last night, then in short, we worked on it during the night. In short, now in the morning, it's also likely here, in short, a return to this lower part of the range context of the lower zones. Then maybe we can understand if this triple bottom area of lows that was created yesterday, Tekna, and I can give the go ahead then here. Maybe also a bit of a pause in this trading range, waiting for the definitely important data coming tomorrow for the linear Farper holes, which will definitely, and well, they they are highly anticipated. Let's move on to the Russell that we find here. Okay, let's take a quick look. Yesterday it held up pretty well. Also, it's somewhat similar to the Dow Jones. Even though here, yesterday there was a bit of volume, there were also some movements in this upper part. We're working here in the trading range. This is the last BC3 level from yesterday, created yesterday. And this is the opening level from yesterday. So this is definitely the range area to monitor between SD2 and I would say, well, the weekly level VS2 or even RD1. So all this area here in the range could be, you know, the daily fluctuation to then see if it finds strength for a recovery or for a downward break. But probably, in short, even today we will witness some oscillations. But I believe that the definitive data that could lead to a greater directional movement will be tomorrow's. But, you know, as always, we don't make predictions, we don't hold on to preconceived notions, and we don't get tied down to certain concepts. We simply have to, as I always say, look at what we have in front of us here and now, not in an hour, here and now at this very moment. That said, I wanted to take a look at the DAX that we find here. Here it is. The DAX is very strong, you know, following the trend, especially about these announcements of extraordinary plans for the rearmament of Europe. So it's a very driving sector for the defense industry in Europe, even in Italy, especially, there are various companies. So they are really driving the Italian market a lot, but not just that. So the DAX and the Euro stocks are all moving and outperforming. And the friendly indices to the American futures and the American indices. Then some time ago, you could also bet on the strong drop. In Europe, you could maybe play a spread. So I was thinking of a spread like, oh, no. Yes, Escuro DAX. You could play, with a short Nissau and a long on the DAX. You could have played it easily, but I thought about it and then I didn't end up structuring it to make it happen. Also, maybe write in the chat as an idea, for trading. So we were saying the DAX is very strong. We're already at levels, we've broken the expected levels of the weekly range. Just this morning, we broke through those levels right at the opening from above. And then, as if by chance it started, we will probably touch the area of the Vixen of Del Massimo. Expected, but for the day, maybe in pairs. So it's retracing a little bit, but we can see it here. It's quite a stretch. It's really become important, but as I was saying, the rights on both sides, you see, as I was saying, there's directional ability due to the change in the environment happening in the markets. We have directionality on both sides, so with a lot of decisiveness, with a lot of volume. Then those situations of a slowdown are created at particularly important levels. And after brushing against it enough to then take off again, maybe in a sideways direction based on about some news or something that has just updated. Let's take a look at the commodities too. Yesterday, oil, I also pointed it out in the chat, took a nice hit going from 68, 65, to 65, a big hit, even though then in the evening it recovered part of this decline, but surely yesterday's drop was significant. Today we worked a bit during the night, a bit above the BC3 levels, but as you can see, everyone is focused on them. So this is a nice area, definitely one to keep an eye on. So 66, 60, let's say we can go to 66, 60, 66. So this is the area to monitor with obviously a return to this upper part. Surely there will be a test of this area here, and a breakout could definitely lead to a more substantial recovery. On the other hand, of course, not passing through this zone here at the BC3 levels could definitely be a good opportunity to short again, because it could definitely be a nice partner. This with the PV right on the top of the BC3 levels, so surely it could also be dictated a short trade. Let's take a look. We have left to watch. The gold, we find it here. There it is here. We have basically remained, at the recovery of the part of the range that we indicated. Well, several times in these days of morning briefing, we are in the area, we have arrived at the part, it's right next to the central part. Now it has been sent back down, so it will probably take a bit of a breather. Here, to then maybe probably attempt a try a breakout to the upside or downside, but it's probably also an oscillation in this range. In short, there has already been a lot, and here it is creating, even if it is narrowing in terms of volatility movements, a little narrower, so it could definitely lateralize again a bit in this area and then, take a direction. We'll see, as always, what the market will present to us. With this, we have concluded. As always, I invite you to follow me on social media, X Discord, on Patreon, on YouTube. Obviously, thank you all for your attention, and I'll see you all in chat.